Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a deeply fascinating, objective breakdown of a radically different worldview. We're focusing on the teachings and writings that come straight from the founder of Life Chanyuan, the guide Feng. Specifically, we'll be unpacking a foundational text called Chanyuan Celestials Are Different. It's an incredible document that completely deconstructs modern society as we know it and outlines an entirely alternative way of existing.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the intellectual roadmap we'll use to understand exactly how Feng contrasts his followers with the general public. 1. Defining the second home. 2. Rejecting traditional social norms. 3. Transcending material desires. 4. The concept of angels. And 5. The final destination.
Section 1. Defining the second home.
So to really understand these unique individuals, we have to look at their environment first. According to Feng's text, a Chanyuan Celestial could literally look just like you or me. There's no distinct uniform or physical appearance that sets them apart. The difference, the text asserts, lies entirely in their inner connotation and a wildly non-traditional lifestyle, which all takes place within a community framework they call the second home.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the radical societal departure that Feng claims his followers experience firsthand. He states that within this second home, Chanyuan Celestials actually live in a state of a true communist society. Feng argues this isn't just some abstract political theory for his followers. It's a lived, breathing reality that is completely unknown to the general public.
We can really see the starkness of this contrast when we look at how order is maintained. For the general public, our society relies heavily on rigid structures, right? We have constitutions, laws, regulations, written contracts. But the text claims that Chanyuan Celestials discard all of that, literally all of it. Instead, they rely purely on shared values to make their production and life order ideal. It's a massive proposition, achieving a perfectly ordered community simply through aligned beliefs without a single formal legal framework in sight.
Section 2. Rejecting traditional social norms.
Here is where we begin stripping away the familiar societal constructs that most of us just take for granted. Feng outlines a set of traditional norms that his followers absolutely abandon. Ready for this? No marriage, no forming families, and no establishing special, exclusive relationships with anyone. I mean, think about how foundational those concepts are to mainstream human society. The text readily acknowledges that understanding this is almost impossible for ordinary people, and admits it is incredibly difficult for most people to actually do. And this brilliantly illustrates Feng's concept of abandoning even national identity in favor of ultimate, borderless freedom. Usually people hold a country in their heart and dedicate themselves to it. Chanyuan Celestials, however, they have absolutely no country in their heart. They don't attach to a specific nation. Instead, they just love wherever they can live, work, and exist freely. It is a complete detachment from patriotism.
Because of this deep detachment, their definition of a home is highly unconventional. The text explicitly points out that a home isn't a building or some fixed geographic location. Rather, wherever there are three Chanyuan Celestials together, bam, there is a home. It's an entirely portable concept based strictly on the principle that absolutely everything is shared among them.
Section 3. Transcending material desires.
Moving inward from external structures, we hit their personal philosophy regarding wealth. The text fires off a list of earthly desires that most humans spend their entire lives chasing, which Celestials simply do not covet: money, power, fame, profit, and sex. According to Feng, they reject all of these worldly motivators. They choose instead to live purely for their ideals.
So, the crucial point is this apparent paradox. The general public operates under the heavy assumption that you need to own things to succeed, right? Assets, property, resources. Conversely, the text teaches the Chanyuan Celestials can achieve absolutely everything by owning absolutely nothing. It's a total inversion of modern economic thinking, which Feng notes is completely beyond public comprehension.
This profound detachment from ownership bleeds directly into how they navigate the physical world. The general public desires planned, fixed stability, living in one spot, making careful travel itineraries. Chanyuan Celestials, on the other hand, don't live in fixed locations and they have zero travel plans. They take opportunities exactly as they arise naturally, associating with others strictly through what the text calls predestined relations.
Section 4. The concept of angels.
In mainstream society, we categorize people in a pretty strict binary. You're either a good person or a bad person based on your actions. Feng asserts that his followers transcend this traditional human binary entirely.
The text claims they don't do good or bad things, rather, they operate on a completely different level as angels, simply acting according to the way of nature.
And what does this angelic behavior actually look like in practice? Well, the text gives us a fascinating list of intentional negatives. They exhibit no competition, no arguing, and no squabbling with others. Furthermore, they assume no responsibility or obligation for anyone, and they make absolutely no promises to others. While that might sound like a lack of action to an outsider, the text frames this long list of negatives as a highly active, intentional way of living purely and peacefully according to their true nature.
Their emotional capacity is also radically redirected. A celestial's love is focused entirely on a higher spiritual realm called the Celestial Islands continent. It is never poured onto a specific individual person. Shufang really highlights this profound shift in emotional focus, pointing out that achieving this feat of generalized love is basically impossible for ordinary people, and even for revered sages. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final segment, Section 5, the final destination.
Shufang poses a very direct and honestly pretty thought-provoking question in his texts to bridge their earthly lifestyle with their metaphysical endgame. He asks quite simply, does the general public have a tour guide to lead the way?
The answer, according to the text, is what sets them completely apart. While all other living beings are described as wandering confused about their direction, Chanyuan Celestials have a tour guide. They actively follow this guide toward an ultimate utopian afterlife known as the 1,000-year world of the heavenly kingdom. Because they've actually lived in the second home, they know this kingdom truly exists. That means they are 100% confident in what they're doing and exactly where they are heading.
We're going to conclude our explainer today with this stark, deeply provocative quote straight from the text. In the face of death, Chanyuan Celestials will welcome death with a smile. Different groups of people have different destinations. It's a powerful summary of the ultimate contrast Shufang presents to us, and it leaves us to ponder, what are the profound implications of choosing a life path so radically detached from the human norm that even death is greeted not with fear, but with a smile? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating text with me today.